I had a conversation with somebody who was making a ton of money in the company. And I said, you must be loving it. I said, Mikey, get out while you can.
I research online to find the market gap to see if people really want this. Just looking on Reddit, there are like hundreds and hundreds of people.
There are so many founders that think they've got an amazing idea. They're married to it. They love it. There's nothing worse than figuring out the idea doesn't have legs.
I was going to knock on 100 guidance centers before I could get one. It has to be with the numbers game and the mindset in the first place. I have got 100 and I got a yes at the 40th one. That means I still have 60 left that I have to explore. I believe if people are going to pay for one features out of your app, they're ready and waiting for you to develop it, to develop more features, evolve and grow with you. That's what I believe in.
Welcome to the podcast. My name is Michael Thomas. The purpose of the podcast is very much to bring founders together, people who are building really interesting and cool things, to help share ideas with you so that you can improve, develop, and grow in new ways. Because what upsets me most is that 1 in 200 founders make it, which just isn't good enough. And my guest today, I'm so excited about having, because, many of us think that we can't do really cool and interesting things. Well, Tolu has built something really interesting for the household. I won't tell all about it, but his company is called LetPlant. And prior to LetPlant, he also worked for Google. He built his own Reputeware, which of course is reputation management. And now LetPlant, I believe, if I'm correct, Tolu, correct me if I'm wrong, is now a award winner as well as nominee and finalist for Green Awards. And you're now working with Morrisons. You've been recognized as a sustainable venture. You're doing all this really cool stuff. And what's really interesting about you, Tolu, is how you've managed to kind of bring lots of ideas together and solve some real problems. So obviously, yours is a lot different to everyone else's, and you bring together IoT, the sensors, the AI, and people. What it does is it's going to help keep your plants alive.
That's correct.
For a lot longer, good for the environment, but also your favorite plants are going to be there for much longer. This man is saving wildlife and plants. I wanted to talk to you, Tolu, because LetPlant is the perfect example of taking a messy human problem, plants dying, and obviously I'm sure there are plenty of other applications, and applying some surgical clarity to solve a massive issue. So you've said you started LetPlant, I believe, because you kept killing plants, including a gift from your wife. And you went on Reddit and found a bunch of people with the same pain. So talk to me about that aha moment that got you started on this journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Mike. I think that was really, really interesting introductions, and thanks for building.
Did I get everything right?
Absolutely. That was
Good.
points. So, I mean, starting LetPlant for me started as, like you said, I had a gift for someone. And the reason why I really built LetPlant out was because I sent out the gift. Unfortunately, it couldn't get delivered, was returned back to me. But I've got a really expensive houseplant as a gift, and I don't just want you to waste. And that's one of the reasons why I started building LetPlant. But before I do that, I try to make sure there is a demand for it. Like, a lot of people are also having a problem, and that brings the story about Reddit. So I research online to find the market gap to see if people really want this. And just looking on Reddit, there are like hundreds and hundreds of people. And a good example of one that really piques my interest was a guy in which his girlfriend probably traveled to Spain, and he had to keep the houseplant alive. So he sent a picture on the subforum, and he was asking people for help on how to keep this houseplant alive. So that was more like the moment for me, because I have the technical know-how to build a software out. And that was when I prototyping the app, then got some funding, grant funding from Henley Business Angels, then grew the user base, and here we are today talking to Michael about the product.
You mentioned that you came across this guy on Reddit talking about this expensive houseplant that had died.
Yeah.
And this is for founders who always talk about solving the right problem, right? And did you just go, I'm going to try and help this one guy? Or did you think there and then there might be something else here based on this Reddit?
Okay. So, I mean, for me, I was the one with the expensive house plan that doesn't want to die, because then I was a total rookie on how to keep a house plant alive. So that prompted me to look into
Oh,
it.
okay. Other way around. Yeah, got you. Got you.
Yeah, to see if someone can. I'm just like the other guy that was like trying to help his girlfriend house plan, trying to keep it alive as well. So I was online looking up on Reddit and see if someone could help me as well. Then I see there's a lot of people having the same problem, that they can't really keep the house plant alive. Now that I have the technical know-how, that was when I say, oh, there is a market gap for it, and LetPlant is just going to fill that space of helping thousands and thousands of people keeping their house plant alive and solving the problem of plant waste in the environment.
So you found this Reddit, which was essentially solving the problem that you yourself were having, but then you saw, wow, there's all these people.
That's
There's this
correct.
community of people who are frustrated and don't know how to fix it. And guess what? I know how to put all these little bits together.
Yeah.
Is that fair? Yeah.
Yep, that's correct.
And
That's good.
so what sort of made you think from that point, having worked at Google and your background before that, which anybody can look up, I'll pop his details of LinkedIn in the show notes. Was there any experience from Google and working with those small, medium-sized businesses that kind of helped you think of a way to really validate the idea with that single Reddit thread, subreddit? I
Yeah.
never get the terms right.
Yeah, Reddit. So yeah, it's all right. In terms of validating the product, I think it's just, I mean, most of the time it's just about talking to your potential customers. And I think, well, one of the mistakes I see most founder makes is try to build the product first before validating it. I think is really like a big problem. What you get to find yourself into is you probably find yourself working on an expensive hobby, like you probably won't make any money from it. So the way I validated this problem is, number one, I see a lot of people not having the know-how or don't really know how to keep their house plant alive. Number two, after that, I didn't just stop there. I talked to real people, potential customers in my community, and say and ask them how they've been taking care of their plant. And it comes to most of the questions that they get to ask me and answer, like, oh, probably I don't know when it's gonna have enough watering. Do I need enough water? Am I watering it too much? Does it need sunlight? I mean, these and a couple of other questions are what I put together to make for us to start building out on our product and prioritize the feature we are going to implement on the app. So it's more about validating what the customer really need, not even what you think is right. It's about what the customers really need, and talk to real people, either quantitatively or qualitatively. Get the right questions, get them to talk, and then prioritize building your functional requirement and build out your product from there.
Listeners of the podcast know that I speak to everybody beforehand to get to know them. And Tolu had this great idea, and he was talking about expensive hobbies. And I've heard variations of this, but actually, in 2 words, it's well explained, right? There are so many founders that think they've got an amazing idea, they're married to it, they love it, they just want to build it, and then there's nothing worse than figuring out that the idea doesn't have legs, like that there's not a business behind it,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate. It's sad, and it could very much be one of the biggest reasons why only 1 in 200 founders make it, because so many of them build for something they're excited about rather than a problem that really needs solving. And I guess one of the key questions I had based on what you said is, like, for people listening, What would you say? And I'm putting you a little bit on the spot here, buddy. What would you say is a good sort of benchmark for validating your idea? So, as in, speak to 50 of your ideal target market, or what, given your Google background, etc. I'd love to hear a different spin on how you kind of felt you'd gotten to a point where you'd hit sort of a benchmark, and what you'd recommend for other people.
So, I mean, I think at the end of it, it's still all about asking the customer and seeing if they're going to give out their money for it. I think one of the best way that I've seen a lot of successful business also is to even try and sell the product first before they build it. And there are different approach and frameworks about it. And one of the best ways to have like an hypothesis testing for new product that you're building is just about you asking why, who is going to buy it, and how visible the viability of a product in the marketplace. So for us, when I was working on LetPlant, it's just about, first I saw the gap, I saw a lot of people having the problem, but that doesn't really still push me to start putting a lot of work and a lot of money in building out the product. What I did next was to validate the problem, set up my hypotheses, and ask people with questions and see if they're going to commit the money to it. And when I have a lot of numbers of people committing to it, then that's honestly a great sign to start building out a product.
Are you advocating for the idea of selling the idea and seeing what pushback you get, as well as, because from what you said, a bit like saying, I build this thing, it does this, want to buy? Not that direct, but you know what I mean? As in, you flow through that conversation and just see what resistance people put up, or perhaps what they don't like about the idea.
Yeah, so I think it also depends on the business model. If you're doing B2B or B2C. So for example, if you're doing B2B now, if you get like a few couple letter of intent from corporate, I think these are really good signs that, oh, people are really willing to buy this product. And if you're talking directly to customer, if you ask them to fill a form and they're able to come in, like say £1, for example, I think those are really good signs that people are ready to pay for the product. So what we want to achieve here is we want people to be able to like commit to it, maybe fill a form. It could be just any actions, be on the wait list or do something. It's just like a commitment, an action, an event that happens that you want people to do and commit to it. I think one great hack that I think workspaces when trying to validate product is to use the mom test approach. I know probably a couple of other inventors and founders have also said it, but it's just a way on how you frame the questions so that you can really get the output that you want after the potential customers you're talking to. The mom test books allows you to like phrase your questions and people are able to speak their mind. It's not going to be a yes or no questions, right? And it's not going to be like you're asking your mom for an idea in which it's going to say yes, but you're asking with people that are willing to spend money on your product and say it developed to, I mean, could be a unicorn in the future as well. So
That is a really, really good point. Not only is that important at the validation process, but just for listeners, also as you go through and you build something, you get an MVP, you get users, you build momentum, never stop asking questions, because what could have been a great product 3 months ago, maybe one feature set it completely on a different path, good or bad. And if you're not getting feedback constantly, and as you say, open-ended questions, the old feedback loop used to be, are you enjoying the product? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Well, that's great. But some people just click thumbs up because they think it'll make the box disappear.
yeah,
So it doesn't give you any information. And I love your idea about getting a lot more open-ended with your questioning and spending more time on it. And I think in an AI world, that's a great thing to do, not just at the validation, but throughout the whole process. Keep asking good questions. Leads me to my next question, my friend. You
absolutely.
spent years at Google and Accenture. What was the sort of realization that you personally had that made you decide to build your own thing rather than go and work for someone else? And I'm just, before we really dive into LetPlant and your journey, anybody listening, if you're working in a job with a cool name like Google or Accenture, a lot of people would love to work for them. Tolu could tell you what made him, take the leap and do something for himself, because I encourage it if you want to do it.
My journey at Google, I mean, I think it's really an interesting part because I was a team lead. I mean, at a very young age, had like 12 team members, if I could remember. I was a team lead. I was leading the team. I was doing very well. We were hitting our milestones and tags and all that. So it's pretty interesting. I think a major break comes for me after I left Google was to create a development agency. I think it was honestly just like the popular thing then, and it's a niche I'm quite comfortable with. So that was when I went ahead and started my development agency, and that was where we built the report care, that was where we built about analytics, and that was where we built some other interesting B2B and B2C product. So I had a gap after that. I was doing my master's at Henley Business School. So honestly, before I got into Henley Business School, I was really open to starting something before I finished uni, right? So
You
before I
just wanted
finished,
to get going, did you?
yeah, I just want to get going on the part of entrepreneurships and building out product and building out a lot of portfolio and that. I mean, it was through a chance that I had to like, oh, I'm going to give up a house plan to a friend of mine, and unfortunately, it doesn't get delivered. Now we have an expensive house plan for me to take care of. Now I joined the entrepreneurship society in the when I was doing my master's. Then I pitched this idea, showed the market gap, showed the total accessible market, which in the UK alone is about 27 million, which is really, really big. The houseplant sector is more than 1 billion annually, which is also really, really big. And I pitched the idea, I got funding for it. Then I think it's just me waiting for my chances, and it came right to me with the money and started building out the product. So I'll say my journey started from just being open to entrepreneurships, and like I had a chance, I just shoot for it.
Did you have any fear about leaving the sort of, because obviously you did the Google, the Accenture, you went back and did your masters at Henley.
Yeah.
Did you have any concerns about, like, because I'm sure a lot of people, the salaries at Google and Accenture are generally pretty good. The perks are pretty good. But then, of course, it's the whole getting comfortable. I talked about this with a lot of guests, right? When I started my career after uni, I went and worked in London. And that was always what I wanted to do. And then one evening with work colleagues, I had a conversation with somebody who was making a ton of money in the company. And I said, "You must be loving it." I said, "Mikey, get out while you can." And I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, the problem is you'll get used to these things, and then you won't be able to leave, and all of your life will be built around that, income-wise and whatever. You won't be able to go and do things you really want to do." And of course, that shaped me. And I'm guessing that when you were at Henley, I'm not putting words in your mouth here, but I'm guessing when you were surrounded with all these people, given that you mentioned you wanted to start whilst you were at uni, would you encourage people to take the dive and go for it? Or, what would be your sort of immediate advice, I guess, to people in a similar situation at uni or whatever it may be?
Yeah, I think if you're just planning out of uni, I think you really don't have anything to lose, to be honest. I think that's really the best time for you to relax.
I'd agree.
Yeah, try a lot of things
No
out.
kids, no house, no.
Yeah, I think the worst case scenario is just you probably just go back to your mom's house and stay there for a long time as much as you can.
Save
I
rent.
Yeah, save money from rent and all that. I'll probably just stay around with your mates and have a room or whatever. I think the best time to do it is just like when you're planning out of uni. No rent, not too much commitment, no extra expenses that can like dive into your finances and all that. I mean, for me, I've always like planned it. It's always just in my head, to be honest. And I think I will always also advise a lot of people like if you want to do something, probably just you might not have the idea at the moment, but if you really open your mind to it, honestly, I think it will just come at the right time. And that was literally what happened with LetPlant. I was open to starting a new thing. I was working doing my uni master's program at the Henley Business School. And when the right opportunity came, I went for it. I won the award. We won the overall best award, by the way. So yeah. And the rest is history today.
It's very interesting what you kind of touch on there about how you don't need to force the idea.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to do it, it will randomly come.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll go, oh man, this is the opportunity. And to do it when you're young, if you can, because you've got less responsibilities and, you know. Is that fair? Have I summarized well?
I think that's really fair because, like I said, you don't really have any financial commitment, to be honest. No kids, no bills, and you just try hard maybe for like 1 year or two and see how it works out for you. You can always go back to a job, and if what you're building, your startup works really well, and you have something to commit to for next 5 or 6 years before you probably sell it if you're lucky. And yeah,
if I may dive in, you obviously, and this is another curveball, as we call it in the States, you automated sort of 45% of user access at Accenture and proposals at WIA. Did I pronounce that correct?
yeah.
Do you think AI is going to take all the jobs? I have these conversations all the time. Or is it just freeing us up to do more human things? Or do you have a different take on it? I love talking about AI.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Hey Hi. I mean, when we started LetPlant, it was just like the beginning of Hey Hi. Like, it's not so crazy the way it was right now, because right now it's just over the roof. The way I position Hey Hi, I think it falls into the category of a business process. It's a tool for a business to achieve something faster. I mean, what we can do before AI that could span 6 months. Literally, we can do that in a week. I think AI is meant for an adoption as a tool for a business rather than we being scared of it. It's just gonna help us get things done faster, improve on our resources, help us ship product faster as well. I mean, for our own use case, it's just like tremendously helpful. I think the people that are going to lose for me are people that don't see the advantages is bringing to the community and putting into our business for us to be able to be highly productive in whatever businesses we're working on. That's what I see as a business process, a tool for.
I do too. It's not going to replace people in the same way that it's a bit, I think of it this way. I don't know whether I'm a bit older than you, so I'm going to, I might sound really old here. Not that I was alive during this time, but it's like the early 1900s when horse and cart became car. So as in like, suddenly we're able to, in terms of farming, instead of doing everything by hand, we have tractors. And so it speeds up the process.
Yeah.
And now people are moved to things that are more need to be more hands-on and more thoughtful and stuff. So it takes a lot of the pain away, hopefully. That's
Yeah.
the hope.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, I was just gonna have that. It's just like the way we move from the industrial age, because I mean, Mike, you said you're a bit older, so probably you fall into the industrial age.
I'm not 1900s early, in terms of old.
Well, I was gonna say just the way we move from the industrial age to the information age. So the way, the perspective, the how we do things change tremendously, and we tend to do things a bit more faster. I think now it's AI era, and I think the changes are just there and so obvious, and we can do things even way lot smarter and faster than the way it was before. So
fantastic. So given that you're in the space of saving plants and looking after the sustainability aspect, and given your sustainability credentials, it's a buzzword that is often full of rubbish from a corporate point of view. Do you think that the climate and sustainability needs more regulation to stop companies greenwashing? This is a totally tangential point. Or is the current red tape actually making it harder for people like you to come up with innovative solutions to it?
I mean, if I could get your, just to make sure I get your question correctly, are you talking about the policies and the requirement needed for a company like a new startup to start something along the line of sustainability,
Correct.
climate? I don't think we really, there is a lot of barriers for us at the moment to start something really new in the market. I mean, I don't know what the next 2 or 3 years might be, but I'll say right now we can really like start our project, work on our product, go with the compliance that we have on ground, which are not so complicated at the moment. So I don't see, honestly, right now, I don't see any issue with that.
Is there anything that you think is making it harder for people like you to come up with sustainable climate tech solutions? Or do you think it's pretty like easier than people might think?
I think probably one of the restrictions has to do with the funding. I think it takes quite a lot of money. Probably there should be some. There are some already, but just make it more available for people. I think there are thousands and thousands of ideas out there to enable us reduce the CO2 and be it's the net zero goal by 2030 according to the UK. I think more has to do with the funding for us to push these ideas and from theory to being more practical about it.
Okay, so what you're suggesting is encouraging governments and stuff to be more proactive and fund a lot more of these ideas to try and, because
Yeah,
I'm not saying anything controversial here, people. If you think I am, then please pop comments or send me messages. But the climate is getting hotter
yeah,
faster than it would normally.
yeah,
So
yeah,
solutions are needed. That's science, not opinion. Okay, so in terms of your story, you mentioned that you knocked on the doors of 40 garden centers and got nowhere until you found a Morrisons that were willing to support your dream and your idea.
yeah,
For the founders listening, how do you keep going? And I say this a lot of the time. You know, it's the hardest part is taking all the knockbacks and not knowing when your yes is going to come.
yeah.
How do you keep going after the 30th no? And what do you think made them say yes?
Well, I think I'll start with saying grit is all about embracing the process because for every no you get, there is just one step to you getting the yes one. So, I mean, in my own case, when I was keep knocking on garden centers and I reached the was it 21, I felt like am I really doing the right thing? Is it the right approach? But before that, I will always set a target. So I said, oh, okay, I set a target of 100. I was gonna knock on 100 garden centers before I could get one. So I think it has to be with the numbers game and the mindset in the first place. Probably you just need to say, oh, okay, I'm going to go to 100 and visit 100 places, talk to them and see if I could get a yes. So I would say the greatest was there was already planned, and I mean the rest was history. When we get the yes, and was just for us to go in and show our product and validate it from the customers as well.
So just to make sure that I understand what you're saying that like the key for you was setting a goal of 100 and kind of recommending that people set that sort of goal
Yep.
and then try and get through them. Like, as in, just don't think about the no's. Just think, I'm getting closer to yes. Is that what
Yeah.
you're suggesting?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, for example, like me, like I said, I have got 100 and I got a yes at the 48th one. So, which is, that means I still have 60 left that I have to explore before I could get tired.
But it's easier to do that once you got the yes, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
easy. So, but you just need to like set the numbers right, give yourself enough room to do that. It's not like you're just gonna send or probably visit like 5 or 6 guided centers and no, and you probably stop. I don't think as an entrepreneur you should be doing that. I think you should understand it's always a numbers game, and more you could go, the chances of you getting a yes.
So keep going, people. He got 39 no's and the 40th yes.
Yeah, that's correct.
So Did you finish before I ask the next question that I'm dying to ask? Did you do the final 60?
No, to be honest. I mean, I think the 100 was just the gap that for us to get a yes. So when we had a yes, we had our moment, and we just
You had
went
a starting point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just went all in for it.
Which leads me to a really other cool point, which really drew me to you when we first started speaking. You have a patent pending
Yeah.
system at the moment, and in the startup world, patents are a scary thing. You know, there's a lot of misinformation out there, right? What drove you to get a patent, and what do you think it's going to do for you, and how easy was it? Three points to that. What drove you to it? What do you think it'll give you, and what did you learn?
Well, I think what drove me to it was to honestly send our competitors away. So that was the first thing. I have the idea. We have the system, the architecture that we're using to approach this problem, and how we plan to stop the plant waste concern. So what I want to do first is to protect the idea, and the best way is to go through and get a patent for it. And that's honestly the first thing that drove me to it, because I mean, I think a lot of people are thinking and just don't want to get caught in someone like build out your idea before you probably even finish it. I think that was what drove me to it. Get the patent, and we can really send our competitors away from selling the idea. Mike, what was the second question again? Sorry?
Good point. So
Yeah.
the first one was what drove you to it. From what I understand, you're saying to protect what you're working on and keep competitors away. The main thing is, you know, what was it like and what did you learn from the process? Like anybody listening who's thinking about trying to protect their idea.
I work with quite a lot of people I work with happy lawyers and all that. And I think it's just like give you a sense of originality, if that makes sense. And you being able to have a patent for your product, it shows a sense of originality in the first place. And you're able to protect your cost. You're able to protect the product. And, you know, in the world of startup, you're probably also approaching a lot of investors and VCs, and honestly, what they want to hack, or what they want to know most of the time has to do is your product protected, and how you can show evidence for that is through the patent that you have. If you're raising money, then you probably just also want to protect it.
What was the hardest part of going through that process? Like, what would you, if you could do it, if you could do it again differently?
Yeah.
For anybody listening who's thinking about getting a patent, what would be your top recommendation for them to avoid?
I'll just speak to a professional about it, honestly.
Speak to a okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
That's
just do it.
it's complicated. It's more complicated than you think, is it? And you may as well just yeah. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good recommendation. What Tolu is saying is avoid things you're not a specialist at, which I agree with. Now, most founders are terrified of hardware because it's hard. What's the biggest mistake you made along the way with the physical sensors that you wish you could go back and fix?
I think it has to do with I think we have a lot of troubles with Schematic, because I was literally trying to do it myself in the first place, which is not my strength, to be honest. My strength is coming from the app mobile development, which is a software development part. But I wasn't the hardware engineer guy. So I think it's best to have someone who really understands the hardware ecosystem very well, because I think we wasted a lot of money in churning out our prototype, and that's because of the schematic, and we had a lot of intertwined connections that won't really pass through some compliance in the UK, for example. I will honestly say probably you get a co-founder that understand the hardware part better than you, or you probably work with an agency, design agencies that can take it from 0 to 100.
Okay, so like an innovation lab sort of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, skipping forward here, you're moving your sort of big plan for 2026 with LetPlant. You've now won the award. You've been nominated and finalist for loads, and what you're building is amazing. And it's not just the sensors; it's the app, it's the Chrome extension. There's lots of bits to it, right? But you're moving into B2B contracts for office spaces, and How does the story change when you're sort of approaching that? What is your sort of thinking for 2026? What is your big idea?
I mean, LetPlant literally started as a way to solve the problem of plant waste in the environment. But right now, LetPlant is becoming more of a product ecosystem. That's the way I say it. Because right now we have not just the app, we have not just one app, we have like 4 products in the market. We have the LetPlant Prosper, inspired by Houseplant, and it's just like an audio wellness app that helps people to stay calm. And we also integrate system whereby you earn the Prosper point and you can redeem it for wellness classes like yoga in your environment or in your community. So
Oh, okay.
this is just like some of our products in the pipeline, and we have a lot of products that we're also bringing out into the ecosystem. So it's not just about the plant anymore. I'll say it's more about nature and technology, and that's the nature we're trying to dominate.
What you're saying, from what I understand, is turning it into an ecosystem, and an ecosystem that gives people more benefits and I guess more stickiness
Yep.
to the whole process of using the different tools. And from a business to business point of view, are there any big plans you've got for the year that we should highlight?
Yeah, absolutely. So for this year, we plan to expand to more retail stores. I think that's one of our priority. We've been talking to our partners, and we hope we could get into more retail stores, and that would be a big milestone for such a this year. Get to more retail stores.
In terms of your metrics of success, when you sit in front of investors, how do you prove that LetPlant is not just an expensive hobby in your view? Like how, and this is for the listeners.
Yeah, how to prove it is just showing tractions. And I think traction varies depending on who you're seeking money from. I mean, for example, if you're seeking money from angel investors, they probably want to see your financial statement. They want to see your records. They want to see how much money you're making. They want to see the user base. They want to see some metrics like the MAU, the DAU, and quite a few of things that might be unique to each and every other investor. So I'll say it's more about the metrics. That's what they want to see. It's more about the metrics and whatever metrics they desire, and you're able to provide.
So you're showing, in the case of yours, right? You're showing more MAUs and DAUs.
Yeah,
And for those that are newer to tech and software, that means monthly active users and daily active users.
Yeah,
it means just showing that you've got traction, you've got growth, which of course Tolu talks about. Okay, so I will obviously pop all the details to LetPlant in the show notes and the description. Before you go, advice to the tribe. So you talked about the mom test. You're a big believer, or mum in the UK.
yeah.
You're a big believer in not building until you pay. What's your number one tip for a founder who's currently buried in their code and terrified to go out and ask for that first sale?
Okay, so to founders out there, I think one problem you're going to have is you have a lot of features and a lot of PLDs, a lot of functional requirements in your documentations that you want to build out. I don't think that's the problem. Just need to prioritize one feature, build it out, and test it with the real users. That's what you need. You don't have to get 10 features out, 50 features out before you start like testing the market and see if people will pay for it. I believe if people are going to pay for one features out of your app, they're ready and waiting for you to develop more features, evolve and grow with you. That's what I believe in. So build out one, test it with the market, see if they'll pay for it, use the money, build out more features for your app.
There you go. So it sounds like we've almost got a blueprint there, Tolu, such as like the idea of find the one feature people desperately need, get them to say yes to paying for it, and then you can build from there. Don't be, I talk about this idea of there's no point being a perfectionist.
Yep.
Like, as in, like, we need 20 features to launch. No, you don't. You
No.
need something that's good, right? And
Yeah.
then you can build on it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And as you say, fund it. So if you could go back to the day you left Google to start your first venture, what's the one piece of clarity that you'd give to your younger self, like advice you'd give to your younger self after all of that, knowing what you know now?
I would say, whatever you have in your mind to do, just do it. Because I think when I was in Google, I had a lot of things I want to do, but because of, I'm engaged, I'm working with a lot of things, what would be the outcome of me not being here and all that. I would say, if I have to tell my younger self whatever I have to do, I think I should just do it and learn through the process.
And obviously take all of Tolu's advice and what we've discussed here in terms of validating the idea, talking to people, talk to people, talk to people, talk to people. There's so many amazing communities. And I know that you were at was it Pitch UK the other day? Or
I was at the Pitch UK. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So again, I'm plugging the Pitch UK here as well.
Yeah,
I'll pop the details of that in. So there's loads of cool places to dive in and meet people like Tolu and build and develop your idea. I thank you so much for your time, Tolu. I will pop all the details down below to your website, to your LinkedIn profile, and if there's anything else, obviously, I'll add it later on. But thank you so much for coming today, Tolu. And to those of you listening, please do follow, subscribe, comment. Tell us what you think of Tolu and whether you'd like me to bring him back in 6-9 months' time, whatever, to share more about the LetPlant story and how 2026 is shaping up. Thank you again, Tolu.